My name is Alyssa. I'm 34 years old, and up until 3 months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. A beautiful home, a loyal partner, and a future full of everything we'd built together. Or so I believed. I met Jason when I was 24. He was older, charming, successful, magnetic. He walked into the bookstore where I worked, asked for help finding a gift for his sister, and left with my number instead. Within a week, we were inseparable. Within a year, we were living together. By year 2, I had left my job to help him manage his small but promising real estate business. Jason always said we were a team. "We're building this life together," he'd whisper, usually after midnight, when our apartment was silent and my guard was down. And like the hopeless romantic I was, I believed him. I helped him file taxes, cold-called clients, designed listings, and even showed properties when he was double-booked. He promised that once we got married, everything would be split, that all my effort would pay off. Spoiler alert, we never got married. Every time I brought it up, he'd say soon. Or, why ruin something that works? And for a while, I let it go. I was in love, we were growing, and I convinced myself that love was enough. It wasn't. I didn't see the cracks at first. The late nights at meetings. The smell of unfamiliar perfume on his shirts. The way his phone never left his hand, not even in the shower. I was busy. I was tired. I was hopeful. And that made me blind. Until one night I wasn't. It was a Thursday. I was up late finishing a marketing packet for one of his big listings when I got an email, accidentally forwarded from his work account. It wasn't work. It was a hotel confirmation. 2 guests. Ocean view suite. Champagne package included. My name wasn't on the booking. At first, I thought it was a mistake. A client's? A gift? I clicked further. It wasn't a mistake. It was a reservation, for Jason and someone named Danielle, 3 days from now. In a town he told me he was traveling to for a real estate conference. I stared at the screen, breath caught in my throat. My hands were shaking, heart racing, but I didn't cry. I didn't even scream. I just closed the laptop. And I started planning. I didn't confront him that night. I didn't throw the laptop or demand an explanation. That would have given him time to prepare, to gaslight me, to twist the truth the way he always did. No. I needed something bigger than screaming. I needed a plan. The next morning, I kissed him goodbye like always. Made him coffee. Packed his lunch. Wrote him a stupid little note with a heart drawn at the end, like I always did. His smile was so smug. I almost slapped it off his face. Instead, I smiled back. Once he left, I opened a new browser tab and started researching. How to protect yourself legally in a long-term domestic partnership. How to hide money your partner doesn't know you have. How to disappear. For the next 3 days, I turned myself into a ghostwriter of revenge. I dug through every receipt, every email, every account I had access to. And since I was part of the business, I had access to everything. Turns out, Danielle wasn't the only one. There were emails to Rebecca, Lacey, Tina. Half were clients, the other half? Women he met at events. Flights. Dinners. Gifts. I found a jewelry receipt for a bracelet I never got. He'd spent nearly $8,000 in the past 6 months alone, on women who weren't me. I took screenshots of everything. Labeled folders. Printed records. Sent copies to a backup email and hid a USB drive in a Ziploc bag under a loose floorboard in our closet. Just in case. And then, I visited a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. His old law school friend Naomi, who'd always liked me more. She took one look at the folder I brought and said, "You have more than enough for financial misconduct, breach of fiduciary duty, and unjust enrichment." I didn't even know what that meant. She smiled. "It means you helped build this business. It's yours too, whether he likes it or not." I nodded. What if I told you I wanted out, but I wanted him to suffer first? She closed the file and leaned back in her chair. "I'm listening." Jason left on Friday morning. He was wearing his favorite navy blazer, the one I bought him for his birthday 2 years ago, and the same one I'd seen on his hotel's romantic getaway package photo. He kissed me on the forehead before leaving and said, "Be good while I'm gone." I nodded, smiling like the good little idiot he thought I still was. The second the door shut, I went to work. First, I called Naomi, my lawyer, and confirmed she had all the documents. She'd already drawn up a petition for a legal claim against the business assets. While we weren't married, I'd helped run his company for years, and she said the paper trail proved I had rights. Second, I called my brother, Adam. He showed up an hour later with a rental van and an empty stomach. I fed him pizza and told him everything. He blinked. He cheated on you with multiple women, and you still made him lunch? I smirked. Don't worry. I spit in his sandwich. We laughed, but it wasn't happy. It was tired and bitter and full of fury. We started packing. Anything that was mine, clothes, keepsakes, books, photos, went into boxes. I took my mother's jewelry, my laptop, my notebooks, all the things I brought into this life and all the things I earned. But I didn't stop there. I also took the client files I built, the listing templates I wrote, the marketing designs I made. I copied everything to a separate drive and left the originals untouched. I wanted to see if he'd even notice. Third, I opened the new business account Naomi helped me set up and transferred my share of the incoming revenue. Legally, I had a right to it. Naomi made sure of that. By midnight, everything I owned was gone. By morning, I was gone too. I left a single envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside was a handwritten note. You should have married me when you had the chance. You should have respected me when I made you money. You should have never mistaken silence for weakness. I hope Danielle likes ramen noodles. Alyssa. Then I turned off my phone and walked into my new life like I was born for it. Jason returned Sunday night. I know this not because I saw him, but because Naomi did. She'd instructed the court to serve him a cease and desist the second he landed. The documents were waiting at his door, right next to my goodbye note. He called me 13 times. I didn't answer. I watched his messages flood in on my backup phone instead. Alyssa, what the hell is going on? Where are you? Why are there legal papers on my door? You took my files? Are you serious? This is insane. Call me. By Monday morning, his business accounts were partially frozen. Turns out it's hard to keep your company running when your former partner, the one who set up your CRM system, managed all your templates, and handled your client follow-ups, walks away with the backbone of your operations. Naomi warned me he might retaliate. But Jason? Jason begged. He showed up at my brother's house where I was temporarily staying and stood outside like a soaking wet stray cat, pleading through the rain. My brother opened the door just enough to tell him to leave or get his jaw realigned. Jason left. I thought that would be the end of it. But narcissists don't go down quietly. By Wednesday, I started getting emails from clients, ones who said Jason was bad-mouthing me, calling me unstable, accusing me of stealing. I didn't respond to them directly. I let Naomi handle that. She sent out a formal letter to every major partner and vendor tied to the business, outlining the truth, that I was no longer affiliated with Jason's company, and that I was in the process of filing for financial recovery based on years of unpaid labor and deception. Naomi didn't mince words. The letter was professional but brutal. I also created a new business email. Quietly, privately, one client reached out and said, "If you ever go solo, I'd follow you in a heartbeat." I didn't answer. But I smiled. By the end of that week, Jason was unraveling. He posted vague threats on Facebook. Screenshots of legal documents with dramatic captions like, "When loyalty gets you sued." And "Some people forget who helped them climb." I didn't respond. I didn't comment. But I saved every post. Naomi called them gold. Evidence of retaliation. Evidence of slander. But he wasn't done. Narcissists never are. That Saturday, I got a DM from a number I didn't recognize. It was Danielle. "Hey, I just want to say, I didn't know about you, about how long you two were together. He told me you were his crazy ex who wouldn't move out." I almost laughed. "I'm not asking for anything. I just thought you should know, he's doing the same thing to me. I saw messages to other women. He's lying again." Of course he was. I didn't reply. What was there to say? Danielle was just another version of me. And I'd already mourned the girl who used to live in her shoes. Instead, I focused on building my future. With Naomi's help, I officially launched my own consulting firm, quietly, without Jason's name or reputation dragging me down. I filed an LLC, designed a website, reached out to a handful of my old clients who had already emailed me asking if I'd gone independent. 3 of them booked me instantly. Jason must have heard, because a week later I got another email. "You think you can just take what we built and leave me with nothing? You ungrateful bitch." I didn't flinch. I forwarded it to Naomi. Then I poured a glass of wine, sat on my new balcony, and watched the sunset from the home I now rented on my own terms. He thought I was running. But I wasn't hiding. I was thriving. 2 weeks after launching my new business, I was booked solid. Referrals poured in. Clients followed me without hesitation. Turns out, when you do all the real work behind the scenes for years, people remember. Especially when the man who took all the credit suddenly has nothing useful to say in meetings. Jason's business tanked fast. His assistant quit. 2 major contracts fell through. His company's Google reviews mysteriously dropped to 2.7 stars. No, it wasn't me, but karma works fast when you treat people like dirt. Meanwhile, I kept it quiet. No social media blasts. No look at me now posts. Just quiet momentum. But Jason couldn't take the silence. He showed up at my new office, uninvited, 2 days before our first court hearing. I saw him through the glass door, pacing like a caged animal. He buzzed the intercom. "Alyssa, come on. You can't be serious about this." I didn't answer. "You're overreacting. You took your stuff fine. But suing me? Really? Still nothing. You can't take it all. I started this. You wouldn't even have a career without me." That one made me laugh. Security came and escorted him out. He didn't resist. Just glared at the door one last time before disappearing down the street like a man who just realized the world no longer revolved around him. 2 days later, we were in court. He showed up with a lawyer who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Naomi walked in like a storm in heels, documents in hand, calm and ready. Jason tried to argue that I owed him for helping me grow. Naomi read off the hours I logged, the unpaid invoices, the contracts signed in my name. She even played a voicemail where Jason once drunkenly admitted, "You basically run this whole damn company." The judge leaned forward. "So, you admit she was never compensated appropriately?" Jason stammered. "It was our business. You told her it was. You just never put her name on it." Jason went silent. "Then I suggest you settle this now," the judge added. "Because if we go to trial, you'll lose more than your business." Jason agreed. Not because he wanted to. Because he knew the truth had teeth. We settled 2 days later. Jason's lawyer sent Naomi a list of acceptable terms. Most of them were laughable. He wanted to retain rights to our shared client list, keep 80% of business profits, and have me sign an NDA preventing me from ever bad-mouthing him. Naomi responded with 3 words. "Absolutely not." Counter. She proposed something far less friendly. I would retain 60% of all active accounts that I had directly managed or contributed to. Full rights to any future work under my new LLC. A one-time payout for unpaid labor and damages, totaling more than Jason's current business account held. He fought. He argued. He tried to whine his way out. But the paperwork didn't lie. Every invoice, every project file, every email showing I had done the work, led the team, negotiated the deals. He might have been the face of the company, but I was the backbone, and when I left, he crumbled. The best part? We didn't even need to go to trial. The judge reviewed everything, nodded once, and signed the agreement. It was over. Jason stormed out of the room before the ink was dry. Naomi turned to me and smiled. "Congratulations. You just took your life back." But it wasn't about the money. Not really. It was about the look on his face when he realized I had one. That his lies, his cheating, his manipulation, none of it protected him anymore. He had treated me like property, like something he could use, dismiss, and replace. But I didn't just walk away. I built a kingdom on the ruins he left behind. And now? He'd spend the rest of his life watching me live a version of the dream he never thought I could have without him. That's the thing about narcissists. They never expect the person they break to come back sharper than the blade. Jason tried reaching out again. Of course he did. The ink was barely dry on the settlement before the messages started coming. We were good together, Alyssa. I messed up, but that doesn't erase everything we had. Maybe we just needed space. Maybe now we can start over. It was pathetic. The same man who once blocked my number, hid hotel receipts in his glove box, and lied with a straight face, now wanted forgiveness like it was a coupon he forgot to use. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. He already knew what silence meant now. He'd taught it to me. The weeks that followed were peaceful. Quiet in the way grief is after it's done screaming. I bought myself a proper desk for my new office. Adopted a rescue dog named Rosie. Took a spontaneous road trip up the coast, something Jason always said was a waste of gas. Every mile I drove was a mile further from who I used to be. People started to notice too. Friends who had tiptoed around me began calling again. Clients referred their friends. A small business blog even reached out and asked if I'd be open to an interview. They wanted to feature women who rebuilt themselves. Funny how the world changes when you stop apologizing for surviving. But the real change came inside. I no longer saw myself as the girl who got cheated on. I was the woman who left. The woman who planned. The woman who rebuilt her entire life with a pen, a plan, and a lawyer who knew how to wield both. Jason, from what I hear, has been trying to rebrand. New company name. New logo. Same old lies. He tells people I stole everything. That I was vindictive. That I couldn't handle real life. But I don't care. Because I know the truth. And now so do the people who matter. And Jason? He'll be stuck telling the same story to whoever's willing to listen, over and over, while I live a new one every day. 3 months after the settlement, my business doubled. Not figuratively. Literally. New clients. New contracts. A partnership offer from a firm that once refused to even take my calls when I worked under Jason's name. Now they wanted to collaborate. Now I was the one turning people down. I had an office with a view. A website that featured glowing testimonials. A schedule so packed I actually had to hire help. And for the first time in 10 years, I had peace. No checking phones behind my back. No fake conference calls at midnight. No watching someone else take credit for my blood, sweat, and creativity. I was the name on the contract now. I was the one people came to for answers. Jason faded into the background like a watermark on old paper. I still heard whispers, stories from friends of friends, updates I never asked for but somehow always arrived. He'd been rejected from 3 business grants. His company was under IRS review. Daniel? Long gone. Moved out 2 months after the truth came out. Apparently, she found his tears less convincing once the money dried up. A friend once asked me if I felt bad for him. I didn't. Because what Jason lost wasn't just money or clients or pride. He lost me. And I was the real asset all along. He thought I was just the girl behind the curtain. The quiet support. The helper. The one who'd stay loyal while he played king. But I wasn't his court jester. I was the damn architect. And when he burned the house down, I rebuilt the palace, and didn't leave his name on a single brick. That's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't destroy you. It unmasks you. And the woman I see in the mirror now? She was always there. Jason just spent a decade trying to convince me she wasn't. I once thought revenge would come in fire. That I'd want to watch Jason suffer, burn, beg. But when the dust settled, I didn't need flames. I needed freedom. True revenge wasn't screaming in court or bankrupting his ego. It wasn't dragging his name through the mud, though let's be honest, he did that himself. It was becoming someone he could never touch again. I never sent him one last message. Never called him to say, "Look at me now." Because I knew he already was. I knew he saw the article when my company got featured in a national business magazine. I knew he watched the clips when I spoke on a Women in Leadership panel. I knew he heard when one of our former clients, now mine, landed a 7-figure deal with me at the helm. He was watching. And that was enough. I kept the last voicemail he ever left me. Not because I missed him, but because it reminds me how far I've come. Alyssa, I don't even recognize you anymore. You used to be so good to me. He's right. I used to be good to him, even when he wasn't good for me. I used to believe that love meant sacrifice. That loyalty meant silence. That helping someone build their dream was enough to keep you in it. But now? I know love isn't supposed to dim you. Loyalty isn't supposed to make you small. And when someone uses you as a ladder, you owe it to yourself to stop being the step. So if you're reading this, if you're where I was, silent, scared, second-guessing everything you gave someone who only took, hear me. You're not too broken. You're not too late. And you're definitely not too weak to leave. You are the storm. And when you finally rise, he'll feel every drop.